Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining us today for this presentation. Today's webinar is titled Load Balancing 101, Drive Better Business with a Better Application Experience. My name is Evan Pflugrad, and I am joined by Morris McMullen, Principal Product Manager for Progress. Morris will be leading today's talk. Before I turn it over to Morris, I want to highlight the questions panel. You should see the questions panel on the right-hand side of your screen. You may need to expand the panel by clicking the plus sign or down arrow for full view. You are encouraged to submit your questions at any time during the talk. We will also take time at the end of the presentation to go through any questions you may have. Today's session is being recorded and will be made available to you after its conclusion. I will now invite Morris to come on and join us for this talk. Again, this is Load Balancing 101, Drive Better Business with a Better Application Experience. Morris, I'll turn it over to you. You can take it away.
Thanks, Evan. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this webinar on using Loadmaster load balancing to improve the user's application experience and get better business outcomes. As Evan mentioned, my name is Morris McMullen. I'm a product manager in Loadmaster Marketing. So first, we'll have a quick look at the agenda. Today, we'll cover what application experience, or AX, as we refer to it, what that is, and look at the practical steps that can be taken using Loadmaster to improve the user's application experience. I'll also briefly touch on other Progress products that can further enhance the application experience. So the question is, what is application experience, or AX? From a Progress point of view, we see it as a solution to help your IT organization ensure that your networks and applications are stable, compliant, highly available, and optimized, and performing above expectations to deliver that best possible experience for the end user or customer. There's a portfolio of products within Progress that can give you insights into the state of your applications and environment as well, and we'll have a look at those as part of this. And the net effect of all these products together is that the end user experience is enhanced essentially through a responsive and available application. So we'll have a quick look at what exactly we mean from a practical point of view, what AX is. And the main things are looking at visibility and enablement as the two pillars of this. Visibility in the application infrastructure, it allows rapid identification of issues so that it can be resolved, potentially even before they have an impact on the user. And the key to the rapid resolution of problems, is the provision of in-context detail around the root causes. So it's not just a something is broken type environment. This is broken and this is how to fix it. So that's part of that as well. That deeper visibility. And the other part of it is enablement. What you can do to actually make applications perform better, be more available to your users, and making your application infrastructure the best it possibly can be. So we'll have a quick look now at some of the products that Progress have and in this area for delivering a better experience. So we have WhatsUp Gold, and it's been at the cornerstone of IT infrastructure monitoring for quite a long time now, with thousands of customers. And it's got features like essentially can quickly automap your network infrastructure and provide real-time alerting on the status of key components such as firewalls and routers and even servers. So it can provide quite a bit of the insight and visibility that you need on your IT infrastructure. We also have Flowmon, and Flowmon gives you a deep insight into your network traffic. It does that on premise in the cloud as well, and gives you, a holistic view of your entire estate, so you can use it for troubleshooting and to maintain stability in the network. And it allows you to really drill down into each packet of data to see, minuscule detailed, activity of devices, communications between domain A and domain B, even see things like, what TLS versions are being used on the network. So it allows you to get down to that very, very fine granular level on your network. But in this session, we are really going to focus on Loadmaster. And Loadmaster is a load balancer. And we're going to go through how you can use Loadmaster to get the most out of your applications, to drive the performance, to drive availability, to make sure of all that is the best it possibly can be. So just a quick overview of Loadmaster itself. Aside from the core load balancing capabilities, Loadmaster can enhance many aspects of application delivery, and you can see there in the list. I'll not go through the whole list, but it provides many capabilities there. And security, for example, being a big one there with pre-authentication and single sign-on. Actually, interesting, single sign-on is something that can add to the user experience as well, because the user isn't constantly being prompted for credentials, so you can authenticate them at the edge, and that then can be used to single sign-on internally. And security does have a part to play in application experience. Things like a web application firewall will be protecting your website, so it doesn't get compromised by hackers and become a possible vector for delivery of malware to client devices, which wouldn't be a good end user experience. But we'll take a deeper look at some of the ways that Loadmaster can provide a better application experience. So the big challenge, is keeping your application up. The worst experience somebody can have is the application is down, they cannot connect. Now, if this is an internal application, then your IT help desk is going to be getting loads of calls, user productivity is down, and all of that has a cost impact. And then if you take that to look at external users, let's say you're running some sort of an e-commerce site, it's their cue to go somewhere else for their services. And again, the cost to the business is significant. So availability is essentially at the cornerstone of application experience. If the site isn't available, there is no application experience. So let's have a quick sort of a look at the scenario. So a single server is set up, a user connects to the server. So if that server fails, there's a problem, and the time to resolution could be significant. In a worst case scenario, you may have a hardware failure, and it may take days to actually get a fix and get back up and running. And obviously, this is not where you want to be if you want to be providing availability. What you can do is, in the diagram here, is add in a second server. And if you add a second server, you need to load balance it. So you put a load balancer in front of it, okay? And again, the load balancer in itself could be a single point of failure, so you can actually deploy Loadmaster in pairs. And you also see here, I've added in a server here in a cloud platform, so that those two servers could be on-prem or they could be in the cloud. But it's possible to actually load balance across the multiple clouds, or between your data center and the cloud as well. So that allows you to scale services, for example, if there's a greater demand and then can be met by, let's say, your on-premise servers, you can grow into the cloud. And to move beyond this here, okay, all your load balancing is sitting there in one site. So again, that site potentially could be seen as a single point of failure. So here in this scenario, we can provide additional resilience by using DNS-based load balancing, and it's also known as global server load balancing. With this approach, we would have load balancers in multiple locations or in the cloud, for example, and clients are directed to the best available location to service their requests. So when they want to connect to www.example.com, the DNS reply will come from the load balancer, and it will know, is this site up? Where's the best site to deliver this from? And actually, this is often used not just to solve the availability issue, but it can also have another AX impact, as we can use DNS load balancing to direct users to their closest data center based on where they're coming from. So, for example, the user in London would be connected to a European data center rather than a North American location, again, to improve their experience of using the application. And part of that enhancing availability is looking at the health of applications. So we can look there at the top two health checking options. Doing a network ping or a HTTP connect to see if something is alive. But that may not necessarily provide a true status of what the application, a server may be up and responding to a ping command, but the application stack may be down, or the web server may be replying okay, but the application component running behind that web server may be experiencing issues. And this is where advanced health checking comes in. So with Loadmaster, we can do a deeper health check and even combine health checks, do a multi sort of a health check to get an accurate overall state, an overall view of the state of the application. Built-in checks for all the major protocols and common applications, but we also support the creation of custom health checks. So, for example, you could explicitly verify if your custom developed cart checkout component was operational, as well as checking the health of the actual application. You could also check services that are not directly accessible to the user, but are part of the application delivery stack. For example, is a database server available? Is an API gateway available? Things like that. And sometimes, again, you can mark services as well as being critical. So that, for example, one of those backend services was down, any servers that were paired up with those services would be marked as unavailable. So you can do quite complex checking there. And that's key to being able to identify the state of the application. So looking at performance, how quickly a page loads for a user or how quickly a service responds to a user action is a key part of the user's application experience. And we have some capabilities within Loadmaster that can help improve that. And we'll just quickly run through them here. First of all is the Loadmaster can offload the overhead of the cryptographic overhead that's required to establish secure sessions using SSL or TLS actually on that. And establishing and maintaining secure connections with clients, it's kind of a significant computational and memory cost on servers. And removing that from the servers frees up those resources so the servers can deliver improved application performance. So that's on offload. You can also cache content on Loadmaster. Again, reduces the amount of requests to the servers, but it also gives a better response to the user because the Loadmaster is immediately serving the content to the user rather than having to go to a backend server and grab that content. So you take an example like a company logo that's on every page. When the user is loading that, they may have to you'd have to request it from each server. But if it's cached on the Loadmaster, then that can be delivered directly from the Loadmaster, leading to quicker page loads and less of a load on the servers as well. We also can compress content. The impact of compression is variable, but even if somebody's on a high-speed link, it can have quite an impact. Obviously, if the content is already compressed, let's say video, then it's not going to deliver that any more efficiently. But on content such as CSS files, JavaScript, HTML, there's lots of research out there that's showing improvements where compression is used on that, even on high-speed links. Anything up to 30% improvement in page load times. Probably a good time to mention as well that just on all of this here is if your application, we're not a magic wand. So if the application has inherent performance issues, whether by design or it's under resourced in terms of services, we aren't going to be able to do much to improve that. So, but that may be a different challenge there. Another way to enhance application performance is use of the HTTP2 protocol. HTTP2 has been around for a number of years, but it may be that certain applications don't support that. Now, HTTP2 offers quite a lot of benefits in terms of performance, how efficiently connections are managed, and content is multiplexed over single connections. So again, we can act as a HTTP2 to HTTP 1.1 gateway. Again, taking some of those legacy applications and making them more efficient, ones that don't support HTTP2 natively. And also then we have content rules. And while we use content rules sometimes for security reasons, we can also use them to direct traffic of certain types to the correct server. So if you've got a server that's optimized for delivery of content such as video, you can have rules in there that rather than having video content delivered by every server, you could have a number of servers that are optimized for delivery of that content. So I mentioned as well about visibility, being able to see the state of your application infrastructure, and it is key to maintaining that application experience. Now, Loadmaster in itself has an option there to essentially get notified of emerging issues, and it's not just a notify, it can escalate these issues, but also provide the in context information around the issue that has been detected. So that accelerates the time to resolution for issues being detected. And again, key to that is trying to identify emerging issues so that they don't get to have an impact on the customer. So yeah, we can augment that visibility that's natively in with Loadmaster with the other progress solutions that I mentioned earlier. So if we look here, we've got What's Up Gold. Again, this is just a quick screenshot, so it can have a network map, for example, real-time alerting of components that are outside, let's say, the scope of Loadmaster. So, for example, it's your firewall at the edge, it's routers, other components on your network, and again, all of this helps you resolve issues more quickly. Also, with Flowmon, again, it's that deep insight into the traffic. Again, this can, with both the WhatsApp Gold and Flow this can be on premise, in the cloud, mix of both. And again, it's providing you with that deep view of your entire network and assisting with the troubleshooting that you need to do. So the business benefit of application experience can be measured in much happier users, and it's very difficult to measure emotion, but there is a benefit there that if you're doing things better, if your pages are loading faster, if your site is responsive, if it's it's got very good availability, you're not suffering outages, you're going to have a happier user base, whether that's internal users or external users, and all of that essentially feeds into less time spent troubleshooting and fixing things. So your IT costs are down, but from your internal users, they're better efficiency. And if you're in a business with external users, again, you will be able to retain those users. So the big benefit here is that, the IT team, less challenges, happier users, and actually that IT team moves from a keeping the lights on approach to a keeping the lights brilliant approach to infrastructure management. And on that terrible bit of marketing speak, I'll now finish up and pass back to Evan to see if we have any questions.
All right, thank you, Morris. So we're now going to be taking questions. Please submit your questions in the panel on the right-hand side of your screen. Morris, I know there's no questions submitted yet, but I know we had some that were pre-submitted to us. So I'll invite you to come on here and answer these while we give our audience an opportunity to submit their questions. So I know you touched on it just a second ago, but tell me what the real business benefit of using a load balancer to manage my applications is, and maybe some of the risks associated to not having a load balancer behind my application.
Yeah, if there's not a load balancer in place, then you are in a single server scenario, and that is a lot of eggs in a single basket. So you are exposed there to a failure on that server, resulting in a complete removal of the service, whether it's a e-commerce, it's an internal application from the users, and that has an immediate cost, and it's down to the cost. So again, it is a risk if you do not have a load balancer in front of your application, and it will cost depending on the value of that application, obviously. But if it's it is down to the cost, and if you do not have a load balancer providing availability, then there's risk there. The other part of the load balancer value proposition there around making pages load faster, that's probably a bit more potentially emotional. It's something that may be a bit more difficult to measure from the user's perception. We can obviously measure page load times from before and after using Loadmaster optimizations. But again, it's that the happy, contented user being more productive because the application is more productive, or it's a customer or prospective customer wanting to engage with you because it's a good experience.
Sure, yeah, that's great knowledge, and a very fluid value proposition there. Another question we had queued up is, when using custom health checks, can you customize the expected response as well as the query? And can this be done on any network port?
Okay, that's a bit technical, but the short answer there is yes. You can customize what you actually the query that you send to a network port, and then you can customize the expected response string. So, for example, you could set up a health check that did a telnet on a port 23 and waited for a login prompt, or if you had a custom or if you had an API, you could create a custom check for that API that would have a a, a, a request in there, and there'd be an expected response that would potentially give the status of that API, and you'd be able to check that as well. So yes, you can customize the request, you can customize the response validation, and you can put it onto any port. We do have custom health checks for lots of standard services, like checking if an SMTP server is up, checking if an LDAP server is up. So we have some of those already baked in, but there's total flexibility there in the customization as well.
Okay, another more technical question here. Do you have to use DNS load balancing to get the application resilience across clouds?
Oh, right. The short answer is no, but really depends on what you're trying to achieve. Uh, if you want that full business continuity, where if you lose a site, or for example, if you've got your application in Azure and you've got it in AWS and you're load balancing across them, if you've got all your load balancers in one of those clouds, then if there's a cloud failure there, then it's a single point of failure. And these are the business trade-offs potentially that you may want to make. But you can load balance across clouds without DNS load balancing. And again, DNS load balancing does actually use all the same advanced health checking as well. So you're not losing anything by using DNS either.
Great. Got another question here. So you mentioned a couple other products within the Progress portfolio. How integrated are other Progress solutions, namely WhatsUp Gold and Flowmon, with Loadmaster load balancers?
Okay. Well, taking WhatsUp Gold first, obviously WhatsUp Gold can check the status of the Loadmaster itself, so that if you've got a Loadmaster outage, that'll be reported in there as well. Loadmaster can also provide flow data, network flow data into Flowmon, so that it can do all its inspection and monitoring of data passing through the Loadmaster. And the use case there would be around if the Loadmaster is decrypting and re-encrypting traffic, and there's reasons for that needs to be done. It provides a Flowmon with a way to tap into that unencrypted traffic, so it can dig into it and identify security anomalies or anything like that in traffic passing through. So those are the main integrations. And obviously, if you were wanted to have a highly available WhatsUp Gold, you can put a Loadmaster in front of WhatsUp Gold to give you resilience as well. So there's a number. That's not really an integration. It's just a byproduct of load balancing. So.
Okay.
And in the future, we should see these products, getting unified dashboards, etc., as well, so we can bring all that information together in one place.
I've got a few more questions here queued up, and I just continue to remind our audience that if you have any questions, go ahead and submit those in the questions panel there, and we'll get to that in just a minute. We'll continue to take questions here for a few more minutes. Um, so, Morris, one of the business benefits that we covered is maintaining a secure application. And so I wanted to ask, how does the Loadmaster enhance the security of my application against cyber threats? What are some of the security aspects and capabilities that can be deployed and enabled using the Loadmaster?
Right. In the context of application experience, security has there is a security part to that. I touched on it briefly there. For example, the pre-authentication and single sign-on. So again, if you've got a single sign-on environment, again, the idea that there's many reasons for having a single sign-on. One of the AX part of that there is there's a user convenience there. I don't have to provide user credentials on every site that I'm logging into, or every application that I'm logging into. So by providing support for single sign-on, not only are you providing that security of not letting people near the applications until they actually authenticate, you can then automatically log them in once they're successfully authenticated. So that's one part of it. The other part is that there is that ongoing risk of websites getting compromised. So people exploiting weaknesses in a web server architecture or an application architecture. And probably a simple one is that there's some sort of a malware payload put onto your site. And in the last thing you want to do is have a reputation for delivering malware to people's to customers' devices. So again, there, while it isn't directly impacting on positively on the user experience, the fact that it's there, provides protection against getting reputational risk is probably what is best described at that. People get infected from your website, it gets out onto the public domain, it can have significant reputational risk. So things like a web application firewall, again, there can protect against infecting clients with malware.
Okay, a couple more questions here. I wanted to ask if you could touch on what environments the Loadmaster can be deployed in, and a little bit in the context of out-of-box setup templates that we may have to get customers up and running with the Loadmaster in their environment.
Okay. Well, Loadmaster is available as a virtual appliance and also as hardware. So depending on your requirements, the hardware devices, particularly the higher end devices, they include dedicated hardware to accelerate the SSL processing there. So for larger sites, that SSL processing overhead can be quite significant. So the hardware provides that. So we've got your option of hardware and software, and the virtual appliances. They can be deployed in the cloud, so Azure, AWS, Google Compute, the Oracle Compute Cloud. So whatever your cloud provider is, we can get in there, especially if they support standard hypervisor formats. So we support VMware, Hyper-V, all all the standard hypervisors there. So it's available on many platforms. And again, the options there, for example, in cloud, is you can actually have it as a pay per hour. So the scenario there that I would have outlined, where you've got servers in the cloud, you can have those servers, turn them off, turn them on. When you turn them on, the Loadmaster would immediately detect them and be able to deliver traffic to them. So it allows you to add capacity on demand, so that if you are entering a busy period and you know about it in advance, or you're detecting, let's say that you're getting above normal traffic, you can switch on those servers in the cloud and direct user traffic there very automatically. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all.
Very well. I'd ask just one final question here. For anybody interested, what actions can they take for next steps in learning more about load balancing, learning about Loadmaster appliances, and yeah, just generating better awareness for where they can go from here?
Right. The simplest thing to do is if you go to the just search for Loadmaster free trial, and that'll bring you to the free trial page. You can download a virtual Loadmaster there and deploy it. You can deploy it alongside without interrupting current traffic, and you can actually some of the things that I went through there, you can put that Loadmaster in front of your existing application servers. You can turn on compression, for example. You can do SSL offload, and you'll be able to measure that. You can actually, within a browser, there's lots of tools that you can see with Loadmaster, without Loadmaster, see the performance improvement that's delivered. And then obviously you'll be, if you wish to add some resilience with multiple servers, again, that's very, very easy to do with the trial Loadmaster. And again, if you get it all configured as you want it to be, then you don't have to install it. You can license the trial to a fully paid version very easily.
That's great. If no other questions, we will conclude today's webinar presentation. All attendees, you will receive an email with a link to watch this on demand, should you like to. And I would just say, to learn more about Loadmaster products, please visit kemptechnologies.com. Thank you for attending today's webinar session. Have a great day and a great rest of your week. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody.